Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's really cool to have you here. I mean, what better way to finish off an epic Friday with someone as epic as you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. So yeah, let's dig in here. Let's jump straight to the interview, and let's go back in time and tell me how your acting career started.
Um, well, I always wanted to be an actor, and my parents weren't exactly thrilled at the idea. My brother's also an actor, a wonderful actor, and for two of their children, we're three. I have a sister as well, but two of us wanting to be actors was kind of not great news for them, and so I have a degree in linguistics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was, just something completely different that also interests me a lot. But and then when in my early 20s I started modeling, and but I always wanted to be an actor, and eventually I found it again through going back to classes. But I only started working about 25, 26, so I'm a very late bloomer in the acting game. But just goes to show, no matter what you do to try and get in the way, if you have a dream or a passion, and regardless of who kind of stands as an obstacle, if you want to do it, you can.
Reach, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have interviewed two voiceover actresses that they started her voice acting career, I think, on her mid 50s, almost
Wow.
50. Yeah, and they started it, and that was like a year ago. And what I ended up discovering like recently is that they've been nominated for like a voice artist award, so that's also kind of that is also one of the cool things that shows that, I mean, it doesn't matter the age. If you have like, I mean, of course, if you want to be like a professional athlete, yeah, I mean, come on. But towards acting, I mean, it does shows that it doesn't matter like how old you are. There's opportunities for you, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm happy it's worked out okay.
Absolutely, I love it. And so yeah, so time went by. You were killing it, but tell me, what were some of the first challenges that you had when you were starting with your acting career?
Well, I was not killing it, let me tell you that much. There were probably the first really 6, 7, 8 years were hard. I didn't work a lot, and every time I thought that I'd gotten a job that would allow me to be safe, and this idea of like, oh, now I'll be able to work consistently, it doesn't happen like that. So some of the first jobs that were, I guess, important were I got my first union credit on a movie directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who's a really wonderful French director. He directed Amélie. You know that movie?
Oh yeah. It's yeah. I know.
Wonderful movie. Anyway, he was directing another movie in Montreal, and I booked the tiniest part on it, but that was helpful. So once you get into the union in Canada, you get access to much better quality projects. So it's your way in. You kind of break in that way, and then you think, finally I've broken in, and then it slows down again, and you have to build again from there. But that was important. And then I've recently worked with them a couple more times, but there is a producer named Pierre David in Ottawa who makes a fair amount of Lifetime movies, and one of my first kind of bigger parts was on a movie starring Ashley Jones and Tim Rozon, and yeah, it was good. It was an opportunity to really be on a set and learn, and that was, I think, instrumental. Again, gave me false hopes of now it's all going to be great, but it's fun. I've just done I think 2 movies with them last year, and it's really nice to work with people more than once.
I love it. Now, Emily was on theaters like 2000 something, right? 2000.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So this movie, he was directing the movie, which is the T.S. Spivet. I'm thinking of the name in French for some reason, but The Adventures of T.S. Spivet was the movie I was in, and he directed that a few years after Emily.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And tell me like how you prepare a character. And I understand that depends on the role, but what are the what is your usual approach to this character creation process?
Um, well, in the audition process, which is different because you can't go quite as hard,
Yeah.
I'm a pretty ritualed person, so I like to do the same thing for every audition. I like to write it out. I like to learn it in the same way. Um, Throughout the years, I've kind of found through different teachers, different books, questions to ask myself to really kind of prepare a character. Larry Moss, who's another wonderful teacher that I've been able to study with, in his book Intent to Live, I think is what it's called. I'm probably messing up all these names and I'm gonna feel really stupid afterwards, but he has these 50 questions about a character, so you go through them and you build their life, and I really enjoy doing that. I found that some of the most helpful processes is to they talk about dreaming as your character, or so the idea of like, sure, we have these scenes, we have these parts of the character's life, but what do they do on a basic day? Like what how do I get out of bed? How do I brush my teeth? What order do I eat first? Do I brush my teeth first? Like all that stuff, so you really get a sense of what type of person. And I'm a very, again, routine person. I love routine. I love regiment. And a lot of people aren't like that. So if I treat all my characters like they're like me, I almost miss out on an opportunity to explore a really different kind of outlook, you know? So I usually go in that way. I usually build through these questions and through, you know, a day in the life. And also there's a wonderful thing that happens when I'll speak for myself, when I get to work on something a little bit longer than, you know, a small part, you get to really think and start imagining as that character. You start to think like, what does that character fantasize about? What do they get mad about? You know, and part of these questions asks you about that. But at night before you go to bed, like, you might think of a very specific set of things. I think of a specific set of things. Like I think about resentments. I think about, you know, I use tactics to fall asleep, but what does that person do? And so I find that's a nice way in.
I love it. That's pretty cool. Okay. Wow. And let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit of background history here. I don't know anything about acting. I mean, I only had one role back in high school and I ended up ruining it. It was only one line, by the way. But anyway, that's another story. Um, so, so basically, I don't know anything about acting. So, what advice could you give to me that I want to start this career out of basically nothing, you know?
One thing that was really helpful for me when I was new was doing work as a background performer, so as an extra. Because I think when you work as a background performer, you really let go of the idea that there's anything fancy about film. It is not fancy. It is not precious. It is not glorious. It's a lot of sitting around until you have these brief moments of being on film, and you're doing the same thing over and over again. And a lot of the times you have, like, you know, if you think about recess when we're kids, there's so many groups of kids going nuts all over, you know, a playground or whatever. And imagining to try and get everybody to be quiet and cooperate, that's a film set. So if you as a person don't like that, you're not going to enjoy being an actor. I also don't have much experience with theater, so it's a very different beast. But if you don't like chaos trying to be ordered, if you really abhor waiting around, if you also don't like feeling like a little bit of an ant, because actors are a bit, we're treated like children on sets because we're needed. So we're really like, okay, you sit here, you stay here, do you want any snacks? We'll come get you when we need you. Are you okay? We're treated very sweetly because we cost money if we're running around doing nothing.
Absolutely.
But honestly, we don't matter as much. And it's not that we don't matter as much, but we only matter just as much as every other person on set. Like every part is important. And if you come in as an actor thinking that this is going to be some kind of noble or there's a word that I'm forgetting, but it's like, it's not fancy. It's not, there's no glory.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I think it's good to kind of go and see if you like the environment. And then if you're like, yeah, I love this environment, I'm in, then I would, of course, take an acting class. And I wouldn't try and go farther than where you are. So go intro to acting. And then accompanying that, once you do your first like audition class or whatever, you see what it's like to be on camera. And then you take technique classes. So technique classes are things like Meisner, or, I mean, I studied Meisner, so I pretty much just know Meisner, but like there's tons of different kinds. There's like Alexander classes. There's, you know, Uta Hagen classes, but that's just more scene work. Anyway, there's all these different types of things that you can do to get out of your improv is wonderful. To get out of your head, you know, out of trying to do something, like trying to copy something, you know. But it's very exciting. I'm always really happy for new actors because it's so, I think, challenging and embarrassing to admit you want to be an actor. It was for me. So I'm like, if you have the balls to kind of be like, I actually want to try this thing, then that's already a hurdle, you know?
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. Well, if I ever become an actor, once I win my Oscar for Best Actor, make sure I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Perfect. Absolutely.
I love it. Okay, that's amazing. Now, tell me, like, what has been either your funniest or worst audition you ever had?
Audition. I hate auditioning. I love doing self-tapes.
Okay.
But I don't like, I get so scared. I get so nervous. I really struggle to be as good as I could, as I, like, I have a certain skill level when I'm working, but I don't have that skill level in auditions. What would be the worst one or the best one? Honestly, I black out a lot. I did do a part recently that was really hard, and so it's a wonderful show called Padre. It's a French show, and the woman I played was she had eco-anxiety, so she thought the end of the world was coming in her lifetime, and she was a kindergarten teacher, and she felt like it would be more humane and loving to murder her kindergarten class and let them die in the Armageddon that was coming, or starve to death, or, you know, this was her state of mind. So and in the show she speaks to the priest who's like the lead of the show, and so every time I auditioned for the show, so I auditioned for it and then I had a call back for it and then I had to do it, but the amount of emotional weight that it is to carry when you have to be that person and believe those things. Every time I would do the audition and then I would sob for like 10 minutes just because there's so much energy that goes into believing those things, even though I don't think they're true, but like I have to believe them in that moment, and then it's still with you, you know? Anyway, so that was really challenging, and yeah, it broke my heart every time.
Wow. And like, now that you mentioned that, like, how you break character, you know, like how you manage to, you shoot the scene and then you return to be you. Okay, I'm good to go. Like, do you have like a process to it, or it's just like 1, 2, 3, go, I'm back, or how's that work for you?
Well, it really depends. Like, a lot of parts don't require like, because if I'm going from where I'm living, which is in a place of hopefully like a pretty neutral state, if I'm, you know, irritated, that's not far away from my neutral state. It's like a step or two away from it. But if I'm in this place of believing the end of the world is coming, This is great. Believing the end of the world is coming, then I have to go pretty far from my neutral state, so that requires a lot more work. And so in between takes, like while we were shooting that, we shot it all in a day. And the thing is, knowing what is getting covered is really helpful. So you start in a wide shot, right? Which is a very wide view, which is usually just an establishing shot. So you're not going to use it that much. And then you go into maybe a 2-shot. Then all of one person's coverage, then all of the other person's coverage. So to know the order of the shots lets me choose how much I'm going to go to that very challenging place. You know what I mean? Like, because also when you do it over and over a day, your well can get dry, you know, your emotional well. So really kind of allowing myself to not be necessarily as emotional for all of the shots where I didn't think that they were going to use them for those moments, and having like communication. So it's like, to be very technical is helpful. And then as far as actually finding the emotion, I have a teacher named David Rotenberg who's really wonderful, and he talks about finding keys. And so what you do is, like, I have certain things within myself, and you would have very different things that ignite these something that's so true for me that it elicits an emotion that is comparable enough that it matches the scene. So you drop into these specific things that elicit the right emotion in you. And so that's work you have to do on your own, finding out your own emotional piano in a sense, you know what I mean? So you can match it.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I love it. Okay. And like, what advice could you give to, to people who are, like, to new actors, but who are starting to have auditions, or even like self-tapes, like they're brand new on it and they're starting like to make those steps?
Something that I really still is challenging for me, but the only interesting thing that you can provide, or that I can provide, is myself doing the thing. So I can be really careful to find my keys, you know what I mean, and really be clear on like being emotionally available. I can work on really listening to the reader. I can work on scene analysis with a teacher, and I do. I coach, and I'm happy to keep coaching. But the only thing you can bring that's true is yourself. So I think it's so important to trust yourself. I mean, again, it's hard because you need technique to support your trusting of yourself. You need to be able to read a script and really understand it. And like, I trust my coach, but my coach never makes me not be me. He's like, he'll be like, it's not clear enough in this moment what you think. You're almost like, you're I can't think of words today. You're like, you're dumbing yourself down instead of allowing yourself to be fully yourself. So it's like, laugh as yourself, think as yourself within the character. If you're trying to do it like, Meryl Streep, you're gonna fail. So that helps me. I don't think that's very clear, but in an easier way, when you're new, make sure to take classes, coach. I think coaching is super, super helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand. I mean, at the end would be like, find your own thing, right?
Yeah. And find people that will help you go towards that. Like, again, like, some coaches will be like, no, this is my way and my way is right. But some coaches will help you really be yourself within that while guiding you. But also, much more basically, if you're a new actor, make sure that if ever you're doing a self-tape, your reader is also an actor. Do not use your friend or your mom or whatever. Get other actors to work with you. And when you're doing the self-tape, look at them in the eyes. Like even if you're doing it on Zoom or whatever, set up your computer so that you're looking at the other person. You know, it's so important. We so quickly get in our heads and do a thing, you know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I love it. Now, moving up here a little bit. Let's say that one day Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, you name it, they call you and they tell you that they want to create a film, which basically goes that all of the characters you have played at the moment, they're gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. Tell me what would be the name of the film?
I loved that question, and I think the name of the film would be Run.
Okay.
Just because it sounds like a headache. I mean, yeah, there's some dangerous people in there, and there's some really funny people, and there's a lot of normal people. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if I'd. It would be pretty. It'd be a pretty like I think of it also. Imagine it's like The Bachelor, and
Mm.
all of the contestants are all the characters I played. It would be pretty messy.
Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And like, what genre would? Well, yeah, like what genre would it be? Would it have like comedy or horror? Like, what
I
would it
think
have?
I've decided now that I want it to be The Bachelor, like a scripted version. Like I don't know if you've ever watched Unreal, the show.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like that. I think that would be really funny.
Yeah,
So
that
I
would be
guess
pretty
it
cool.
would be a comedy. It would be a spoof on a reality TV show.
I love it. I love it. Now, if you had to choose one of your characters to go out with, have some drinks, have fun, which character would you choose to go out with?
Um, you know, it's funny. I just played a woman named Carrie Farver, and even though on paper I was like, "Oh yeah, you're cool. This is fine." Getting to play her, I also think that because again, as I'm continuing in my work, I'm more and more myself, and I really kind of bring aspects of myself to parts, especially when they're not, you know, otherworldly or really dangerous or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the person I got to be playing her was probably somebody I think would be attractive and friendly and fun. Also, she was very unfairly murdered, so if I got to hang out with her, it would mean she'd be alive again. So that makes me happy. So I think I'd pick Carrie.
There you go. All right, perfect. Now, if you had to choose, I mean, sorry, if you have to describe your career, but this time on a drink, now what would it be? Now, you could choose one that, you know, it's already been made, or you can create your own.
So I'm picking a like a beverage to
Mm-hmm.
describe my career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I would say it's a hard question actually because I don't there's like I'm thinking of like yeah maybe I remember reading the question and being like wow I really don't know but then I didn't think about it more. I think sparkling water, like a really tiny very strong bubble sparkling water
Okay.
because it's like refreshing but it doesn't actually hydrate you, and at the same time it's something you crave, and it's luxurious, and it's always something that I want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Now, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that we just want to quit, you know, and it's interesting because if you like sometimes things might be okay, you know, nothing bad happened. But suddenly we started to get like these crazy toxic thoughts and we start to believe that we shouldn't be doing this, that this is a waste of time. I mean you really start to hate yourself, let's say, for be doing this, right? But my question here is like what gets you out of those thoughts and pushes you back on this journey that you have been creating for many years now?
It's a great question, by the way, because it shows such insight into how challenging it can be to be a creative and how often we're the only ones who are really kind of holding our hands. I have a very, again, like, I have an amazing life. I have like a very solid community of folks who around me who are really like focused on being of service to others and on like creating a fellowship of forward movement. I have really beautiful meditation practice. I also have just incredible friends. So, all that to say, I'm quite rich in my life. So I don't get lows like I used to. And when I did get lows, and when I still do get lows, I remind myself that I've had lows before, you know? So that's like kind of like more with experience, with time, it's been easier. But back in the day, like early on, and when I really didn't work very much, and I was like, what am I doing? And it was more just like, well, I'm doing it, so I guess we have to stick it out. And, you know, I'd rather do this and be miserable and work other jobs than not do it. And so that was helpful. But another thing really, oh, your dogs are cute. Another thing that was really helpful was once told to me that your desires are like a divine whisper in your heart. They're not capricious. They're not lowly, not the true desires. And so I would always kind of be like, Rebecca, you're so selfish and self-centered to want to be an actor. But then over time, I was just like, no, that's the tiny divine whisper. Like, that's okay. And so it makes me feel a lot more in line, so a lot less regretful or doubting of my choices. Yeah.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's really cool, but also like, yeah, like what I find pretty interesting about your career is the fact that you have, I mean, that you have still there doing your craft, you know, finding like, basically what I'm trying to say here is that you have still on the fight, you know, like keep pushing it, which is pretty cool, because I do think that whenever we get like these thoughts, I mean, it's the easy solution is to quit, basically, you know. But like every time, for example, when I have like these thoughts, I will repeat myself like look how much time you have already invested to that, and not only time, money too, you know. And like you will look even more stupid to just throw that away, be like, you know what, I'm just gonna start something new, and all of the knowledge, the time, the experience, all of those things that you gather, you're gonna throw them away and start something new. And that, I consider that kind of waste, you know, because I mean, I do believe that we all come to this world for something. But of course, it's up to us to discover what is that something, you know? And it can take sometimes years, or maybe you can discover it like super fast, which is pretty cool. So the fact that you have been doing this for, you know, for so many years now, you have a lot of experience, that you already know what like what to do in this type of situation, specifically when you are thinking about a quit. That is pretty cool, because it also says how much you love it, you know, how much you love like the whole acting, the craft, and all of that. So
yeah, no, I definitely, I think you're right about not wanting to throw away all your investment. I've put all my eggs in this basket, so
yeah, I can understand that. And I mean, yeah, at the end, what can I say? I mean, I love your career, I love what you do. It is super inspiring, but also, you know, it's like it's a living proof that dreams can come true. And it's so interesting because sometimes we, the audience, we don't know anything about the actor, you know. We will just see the final product, but we don't know anything about like how much time the actor put to it, you know. I mean, there was a time in which I used to say, for example, in this huge blockbuster films, I will see an actor that I never knew in my life and be like, wow, this guy came out of nowhere, you know.
Yeah.
But once you see that, and once you realize, you could be like, no, I mean, this guy has been working already for 20 years, you know. Like, oh, okay, makes
like,
sense.
I never saw him before, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been working.
There you go. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting that sometimes you can be working as an actor for 20-30 years, and then suddenly you get the opportunity to be in this huge blockbuster film, and then everybody's like, that's what like what's the word to it? Success overnight and things like that. And once you realize like all the extra hours, all the amounts, and all of that, you're like, I mean, it was pretty much. I mean, it was super well deserved from all of the previous hard work that he or she did. So
Yeah, for sure.
wow. Wow, amazing, amazing! I love it. As I said, keep doing what you do, keep inspiring. I'm super sure that not hundred, but thousands of people loving what you do, rely on you, and yeah, keep doing what you do because, as I said, we need more people like you in this world who besides giving us entertainment and emotions, also show us that you're here, that you're making it happen, that you went outside the typical classic box, and you create your own thing. And I mean, look at you, it's pretty cool. So.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to thank those who watch this video. Thanks so much. If you are listening in on Spotify or Apple Podcast, make sure to go follow Rebecca like right now. I mean, the video's over, so go follow her. So I'm going to leave in the description below her social media so you can check it out. And let's make her viral. Come on. I mean, hashtag Team Rebecca because she's awesome. And again, thank you so much for making this happen. Have an incredible weekend.
Thank you.
I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, you too. Take care. This is super fun.
All right.